Today, we're going to be talking about how to stop from making those mistakes at evaluation team meetings. Now, often we talk about mistakes to stop making at IEP or ARD meetings. Today, it's about evaluation meetings. And so, if you are new to my YouTube channel today, welcome. I'm Charmaine Tanner. I'm a retired teacher, a parent, an author of an Amazon #1 best-selling book, The Art of Advocacy. And I am a professional advocate helping parents throughout the country get the education that their child deserves. So, welcome. We are going to get into our content because we are talking about, yes, to stop doing this at evaluation meetings. We're going to be talking about 9 different mistakes, but also the solutions to those mistakes. And so we'll be hearing both some of the problems and also some of the solutions. And right now, my problem is my slides aren't advancing. Come on, where are you? Shoot. I don't know why I'm having a really hard time with my cursor today. What is the problem? I don't know. I can tell I'm going to have to delete this. I don't know why I can't find my cursor. Here we go. So the first mistake I see is that parents are not realizing that they're an equal member of the evaluation team. You often hear how you're a member of the IEP team. I don't think we talk enough about how you also are a critical member of that evaluation team. So we want you to request, of course, in writing, that there be an evaluation team meeting prior to you signing consent for the evaluation. So this could be, for an initial evaluation for your child if they never receive special ed services, or this could be that 3-year evaluation that the schools do to make sure that your child is still eligible for special education. So before you're asked to sign that consent, evaluation for consent, make sure that you request that you sit down with the team that is going to be doing the evaluations. And the second mistake that I see is that parents are signing that consent form for an evaluation without even talking to the people. So that's why you want to make sure that that you have a chance to have a conversation, because you want to make sure that the team gets the best full picture of your child, their strengths and their needs, their challenges. But we want to make sure it's really a complete picture. And that's why you need to have, it's almost like a pre-evaluation team meeting. And I really see that as being helpful for everybody, not only the parents, but the staff too. Because the evaluation team needs to look at what information and data they already have and what, if any, new information they need. Now, another mistake I see is that parents are not having really input that's being listened to, or parents feel, for a variety of reasons, that it's not their place to ask more questions to these professionals. But I want to tell you that you do when you're having this pre-meeting and you're talking about what would be areas that you really want some more information from? What kinds of evaluation tools can capture that? You want to walk out of that meeting feeling like, yes, I do understand much better now exactly what's going to happen in this evaluation, and to make sure that we're going to get the information that we really want. So emailing your request is a way to capture that in writing. And again, sit down with the team and have that conversation. The fourth mistake is not bringing your information, your expertise to the pre-evaluation team meeting, or asking enough questions. So you'll see this as a theme, right? We want you to be speaking up more. We want you to be asking questions. We want you to understand in a much, more parent-friendly way of exactly what we're going to be looking for when we're picking evaluation tools. And not that parents necessarily will pick the tool, but you can have input in that. And then if you look at the kinds of information that you have about your child, you want to bring samples of work that he's done at school or things that you've done at home that show a skill that he has, or shows it a skill that he's still learning. You want to have people taking time to observe your child at school, not only when he's struggling, but observe at times when he has his favorite subject and is doing very well, because all of that information that's going to be captured in an eligibility report is going to be kind of the precursor and the foundation for the IEP. So we really need to make sure that we have a tight, well-written evaluation report and eligibility report. And so when you come to that pre-meeting, you can bring the information that you have. If your child sees private providers or therapists, bring their latest reports and their latest evaluations. So some of that might not have to be duplicated, right? If it's just been done within a year. Two, it gives another flavor for what your child is like outside of school when they're working with private people. So bring that information with you to that pre-evaluation meeting, because once they see that, it might be like, oh, well, your OT already did that. We don't have to do that. So the least amount of standardized testing that your child has to endure will probably be very good, right? So we want to be really specific with whatever we, as a team, decide is really needed and what we're going to give our consent for. So here you go. Just bring those work samples, observations, private evaluations with you. The fifth mistake is not requesting that the general ed teacher be part of the, especially like this pre-evaluation meeting or when you have that eligibility meeting. Sometimes I see teachers, general ed teachers for sure, being at the evaluation meeting. That pre-meeting when we're talking about what we already know about your child and what's missing, what pieces do we want to capture. Your general ed teacher or teachers have incredible knowledge, or they should, right, about what your child is doing in their classroom. And we want that voice to also be in the pre-meeting when you're talking about what needs to happen. So again, as a good advocate does, we're always going to say to make your requests in writing, that they be valued members of the team also. Because part of this is changing the culture. I think so often when we go to IEP meetings or evaluation meetings, the general ed teacher is there because they're required to be there, but so often they are so quiet. And we want to help empower the general ed teachers to know that they have a wealth of information. They also have a responsibility of being a team member to really come to the table prepared to talk about your child, to show work samples, to explain situations of, how the general ed teacher sees your child learning best. What are some things that are working and not working? All of that rich information, we want the general ed teacher to not only bring verbally, but also in a report. And it's interesting because this, I think, at least from where I'm familiar with the different schools that I've worked with in the different states, is that it is this culture that the special ed teacher is seen as the one that has the most important role in writing that evaluation or eligibility report, when in fact everyone around that table, including your child, needs to have a voice in that report. And we're going to talk about some specific things that is really helpful for you to do as a parent. We want to make sure that that general ed teacher also attends the eligibility meeting, and like I say, come prepared, not just a person that's sitting there because they're required. Number 7 is not submitting your parent formal evaluation report to the staff before that draft eligibility or evaluation report is going to be given, because we want you to start having a more active role in evaluation meetings. So when you email your report, make sure that you request that it be embedded in the actual IEP form. And so what happens so many times, parents are told, especially at IEP or ARD meetings, to, have written parent input. But often the team will just be like, thank you for your input. We will attach it to the IEP. Well, attachments have a way of getting lost. So I always recommend to families to say, thank you, I'll email it to you. And all you have to do is copy and paste and insert it into the actual document. Just like the school psychologists, we don't say, thank you for your report, we'll put it as an attachment. You are a team member. You get space in that report too. And like I said, this is a culture shift. And so you're going to get, people looking at you and maybe rolling their eyeballs. But we want to shift that culture and have parents be more active from the very beginning steps of when those evaluations are done at school. So let's carry on. Number 8 is not asking for a draft evaluation / eligibility report prior to that eligibility meeting. So the process is, your child's going to go through these evaluations. People are going to write up their evaluation reports, including the parent, including the general ed teacher from now on. And, it gets put together with all the other reports. Well, it's still in a draft version, and you want to be able to read that draft version of those evaluations and eligibility reports before you go to the meeting. Just like you ask for a draft IEP before you go to the meeting. And you want to be specific in your written request and give them a timeline. I think probably the minimum would be at least 3 business days before your eligibility meeting. You want to see that draft report. Chances are you want more than 3 business days. I also encourage you to specify business days, not calendar days. And so when you do your written request, even make it more concise and make sure there's a time frame there that they're going to be responsible for. And then the 9th and our final mistake we're going to talk about today is not getting our ducks in a row. So this is not prepping for the eligibility meeting. Well, you hear often, from other parents or advocates or, attorneys to make sure that you prep for your IEP meetings. Well, guess what? It's equally as important that you prep for that eligibility meeting. And once you have the draft IEP, once you have that draft eligibility report, it's going to help you almost predict pretty accurately how the team is going. Like, are they trying to take the IEP away from your child and just give them a 504? Are they looking at changing the category that your child is listed under as far as being eligible? You can get kind of reading between the lines. You can get some good points by reading that draft ahead of time. And that helps you be more prepared. You want to write down questions that you have, right? Actually, like how you're going to phrase that clarifying question of, I would love to understand more. Can you show me some samples of that? Bring some samples to their eligibility meeting. So you want to think ahead of time of all those types of questions that you want to ask, where you are confused and you need clarification. You want to make sure everybody at the team is on the same page. That kind of prep will get you so many gains. It gets you the respect of the staff. You feel so much more confident when you walk in that room that you are an equal player at this game, right? So those are the types of things that I think are important, is for parents and general ed teachers to become more engaged with that evaluation process. Write your own formal evaluation report. Make sure it gets embedded into your child's evaluation and eligibility report. Make sure that general ed teachers know that what they know about your child is important. Encourage them to bring work samples to the meeting. Encourage them to write a written report and have it inserted into the final, report that's going to be given. Those are the kinds of things that are going to make a difference, that will get you so much further in your advocacy for your child, because we want to make sure that your child is getting the education that they deserve, right? So thank you so much for carving out time. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, click on that subscribe button and click on the little bell and you'll get an alert when I have posted a new YouTube video. So until next week, for our next weekly free training, I am Charmaine Tanner. I am thrilled that we can be here and helping each other as we move along this journey, and know that I have been there myself and I support you totally. So let's make sure that we keep connected. Alrighty? So take care, and we shall see you next week. Next week we will